Hello everyone, it is Caitlin, and today we are making a working class early 1850s dress. Welcome, and let's get started. So, I have already cut out the lining pieces, which are the blue parts, because I didn't have any more brown cotton, which is what you usually use, but scraps are good too for linings. And I also have Leo, the not very helpful cat, sitting on top of my fabric, even though I pulled him off 3 times. So, we shall see how this works. The fabric we're working with today is this brown and, brown with the red and green leafy bits on it. So we're doing my 5-piece bodice, which originally was the truly Victorian 1845 German day bodice. And I am just now realizing that I don't need this as a fashion fabric because I already have this as lining. I need to cut another piece out. So I'm going to have to rearrange this anyway, but we are going to cut out these pieces and then cut out the sleeve as well. And Cat was moved. So let's go right ahead and cut this out. As I was saying earlier, this was a long time ago, the 1845 German day bodice from truly Victorian, which I do not recommend the truly Victorian patterns for the most part, because I find that they are not well fitted and they really need a lot of work for most people, unless you're extremely long-waisted. This particular dress, the front panel almost went down to my knee. It's about halfway between my hips and my knee for my size, which is ridiculous. And I've heard other people say that they had a lot of issues with that sort of thing as well, as far as it being just sized up very strangely in a way that does not make any sense. So if you're a beginning seamstress, do not go for any truly Victorian dresses unless you have fitting experience. My personal opinion is that it actually is easier to draft your own pattern. Actually, I probably should have left this pretty straight, so I think we can come back and just piece a bit here. I definitely need a new blade, but still works for the most part, so we're going to keep going with it. I don't think I can do that one either, but I take these 2 straight sides and just sew those together. Maybe that will work. I haven't pulled out the normal machine yet, but I'm just going to do it on this little thing because I have it out. I gotta remember how that thread hurt. It's been a while. I wouldn't get that paw anywhere near this needle, honey. Okay, now I have a big piece to cut what I need to cut. Even if it's not stitched correctly right now, that will get fixed. That'll work perfectly. And I can make sure the seam is on the underside of the sleeve so it's not noticeable. It's just going to depend on what side I put it on, and I'll just make sure to put it on the side that needs to be put on. That's basically the cutting. So once I get all this cut out, we can start sewing all the pieces together. Now the skirt is seamed together, I'm putting on a facing. I just cut a facing out of the same fabric we're using for lining because it's what I got right now. I need to go buy more brown cotton. And of course this is going to get turned to the underside, and then I get to hand stitch it up on the top to keep it up. It's just like a dirt protection, and it's going to protect the hem of my gown a little bit longer than say if I actually hemmed it with the self fabric. The pieces are stitched together. I do need to stitch them at the shoulder, which I'm going to do now. And yeah, I cut my thumb on a grater today, so that was fun. It's making grabbing pins difficult, more difficult than I'm accustomed to having to deal with all this, but okay. I wonder if the pattern piece got cut wrong, because if that went out like that. Hey, what did I tell you about pins? Give that back, thank you. No. Okay. That's dangerous. You may not eat pins. I can't believe I cut both the fabric and the lining and didn't notice that. And didn't notice that that was a weird shape. I'm going to go stitch this. And then we can put on the shoulder seams, or attach the shoulder seams. And then we're going to just put this out here and we're going to cut that to match. I would have thought I'd made this dress enough times. Alright, so there's our little piecing attempt. It's not awful. It's not great, but it's not awful. It'll blend in, so it'll be fine. And a good portion of that's actually going to be taken up in a seam allowance. So we're actually doing pretty good. I folded in the fronts, so it's going to be a right over left opening bodice, because that's usually how I do mine. So we are going to pipe the neckline. I'm not going to pipe anywhere else because I want to do the hooks and eyes first, because, at least some of them, I need to try this on to fine fit it, and I want to have the hooks and eyes in there already when I do that. I know the bodice, last time I made it, needed some adjustments, and I honestly can't remember if I fixed them on the pattern piece or not, so that's why I'm needing to try it on first off, and secondly, why I'm not really finishing much, because I want to make sure before I actually do it. I'm not very confident that I actually did change the pattern piece, although I think I may have. Yeah, we're going to stitch that down, and I can turn it under, whip it down by hand, have a nice little piped edge, and then I suppose we can go ahead and do the hooks and eyes. I don't know if I want to do them all the way down, because I might have to cut some of them off. Or I may go all the way down, cut them off, and then cut the hooks and eyes off so that I can keep the actual pieces. Haven't quite made that decision yet. Alright, sleeves. So I have here the funnel sleeve. I took off my band-aid, but yeah, it still looks pretty nasty. It stopped bleeding though, so that's good. I'm just letting it air out for a minute. I'm having a hard time doing hooks and eyes with the cut. So, we're not doing hooks and eyes this evening. I'm going to wait till tomorrow to do this when it's a little healed over. But I figured I could do some more machine sewing, and really the only machine sewing I can do right now is the sleeves. So I could stitch it, turn it under. I already put a little bit of a hem in there, so I'll just very carefully, whip it to the side, and we'll have a nice little faced sleeve. So I have fitted the bodice. I did change the pattern piece, which I didn't think I did already, but I did, because it fit almost perfectly. I had to take up about 3/8 of an inch on the, I guess, each side of the center back piece here. So not quite an inch, but almost an inch. It was just a little too wide, just at the waist, so I only took up maybe that much, or that high anyway. So right now I'm kind of working on the finishing bits. I did already gather that, and I put in the closures. I am working on my other dress from this pattern. I love it. Absolutely love that blue wool. However, I have a hard time getting this part to stay down. And I think it's because I didn't bone the center front seam. So we're going to bone it and see if it makes a difference. If it makes a difference, then I'll take the blue dress apart and put boning in it. So I'm just taking a little scrap of fabric. I was going to choose the lining fabric because that would be more typical than the fashion fabric. However, my lining fabric is looser weave, and I would be concerned about the bone eventually poking through. So I opted just to use the fashion fabric, which is a tighter weave. We're going to put in the waist piping now. So just kind of pin this down. I have most of it pinned, I don't have it sewn yet. Alrighty. Speaking of piping, I have already basted in piping at the underarm. So I've started doing a little bit of a sleeve in here. Now, even on machine sewn dresses, I do tend to sew my sleeves in by hand because I find that it makes them lay better. So I'm just using a back stitch. But this and then whipping the piping down at the waist is really all I have to do for the bodice. I still have not done the facing on the skirt, which I will probably do tomorrow. And then I'll just be measuring how far to, I guess, turn under the skirt to make it even on the ground, but still kind of meet that V that the bodice has, if that makes sense. The whole balancing the skirt issue. I need to get this bodice done first, so I could do that, but I think I'm almost to the point where I can figure that out. We are finishing the gauging. Very, very nearly done. I added a little bit of a faux waistband here. Didn't know I was going to be doing that until I realized that I kind of need that for an offset closure. Either a full waistband or a partial waistband, and I didn't feel like doing a full waistband, so I just did a partial one. I'm just going to stitch this right down. Oh, I also added hooks and eyes on the waistband too, which I should have filmed and I forgot about it. Well, that concludes the dress. I need to find a collar for it, but I'm going to wear my woolen undersleeves tomorrow, so I don't have to make those. Eventually this dress will need to have its own undersleeves, but I'm not at that point yet. I just want to wear the wool ones tomorrow because it's going to be like 30 degrees outside. So, dress is done. I shall go find a collar. I'm going to pull one off another dress, honestly, make it really easy on myself. And I can wear it tomorrow. Here it is. So I just got done. So I finished this last night. I spent all day at Pioneer Farms, and here it is. So yeah, collar is nicely pinned in. Wore it all day, pinned in, not a poke at all. So at least I did that right. But yeah, the dress turned out really well. It definitely is more of a swoopy V, which is what the pattern is. So I don't know why I expected it to be more of a V, because the pattern literally is a scooped V, like a U, but oh well, I'm fine with it. There's other originals that look just like this, so it's fine with me. But here it is from the back. And there we go. So sleeves are no longer too long. It's a nice good length. And it just turned out lovely. This is probably one of my favorite 1850s dresses now. It's just pretty. I love the print. The color's nice. I mean, it's dirty now, especially at the hem, like filthy. I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, it's like filthy at the bottom. To be fair, I did a lot of things today. I cooked on a hearth. I made soap, and I cleaned up about 3/4 of a kitchen. I was really busy, and then I started mopping, or scrubbing the floor. Really, it wasn't even mopping; it was scrubbing. So yeah, I just drove home. It's about an hour from Pioneer Farms, and when I sat in the car, I realized I hadn't sat down all day long. I left there around 5:30, and I think I got there this morning at 9:30. So yeah, it was a long day. It was a really fun day, but it was a long day. And I'm very happy that I got to debut this dress today. So I figured since I was already dressed up in it, I might as well go ahead and film the ending to the video. Usually it takes me a few weeks. Like, I like to gather several things of one time frame, and then I film them back to back to back, the ending and the intro part. So this one I was just like, you know what, I don't really have any other 1850s projects coming up anytime soon, and I'm already dressed, so we'll go ahead and just film it now. I almost got out of it to drive home and went back to my wrapper. I almost did, but then I realized that the farm was closing, and I wasn't sure if they were going to lock me in or not. So I went ahead and just jumped in the car and left. just in case. Just in case. I mean, I would have been perfectly fine locked into Pioneer Farms, but actually, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think I left my candles up at Bauhaus. I would be fine. I'd have candles. There's beds there. There's a nice new bed with new bedding that's not gross. Jolly. I would have had dinner because I made hominy. Yeah, I would have been fine. Completely fine. Maybe a bit chilly is up tonight. It was cold this morning. It's probably can get, but there's enough quilts and things. Hi, Ladybug. Hello, darling. Hi. You know I'm not talking to you, right? Okay. Yeah, there's enough quilts and stuff around. I could have made it. You know, but then this one was waiting for me in the cats. So I did kind of have to get home. But it would have been in the world if I did get locked in there. So, however, dress held up very well. There's nothing really about it I think I would change. I mean, the sleeves are really nice because they're full, so like they're not super tight, which I like. But then also they're really easy to fold in on themselves and have short sleeves when I'm like doing dishes or something that I don't want my sleeves down for. But hem's a good length for work. I forgot to bring my pin, so I couldn't like pin it back, but it is a good length for work. And the brown covers a lot of dirt, so that is a good thing. I did wear an apron though, and I was very glad I did because I looked at it a few minutes ago and it's filthy. It was white. It's not white currently, and there's like lye stains on it and fat stains on it, and hi kitten. And molasses stains on it, and there's stove blacking on it. It's a multicolored apron now. So at least my dress isn't multicolored anymore, any more than it should be. But yeah, very glad we got it done. Thank you so much for joining me as we made our little 1850s dress. I hope you have a fantastic week, and as always, I will see you back here on Monday.